So we can't value what we don't see, and we don't improve what we can't value. What I want to talk about today is that while we all want solutions, first we have to see. Now this is true for many issues, but to show what I mean, I'm going to talk about family caregiving. This iceberg represents caregiving. The visible portion is the professional healthcare industry. The invisible, the vast majority of care, is actually provided by families. And that's us taking care of our own. Now today, family caregivers are often overwhelmed. They suffer physically, emotionally, financially, but we keep insisting that they do more. And why is this? Partly because it's invisible and therefore not valued. It's hard to find a major social issue that's as little studied. What we know comes from analysis of a few surveys. What these tell us is that there are perhaps between 40 million and 100 million caregiving American adults. Now, that's a big number, but the wide range of estimates tells you how poorly we see. In a world of big data, family caregiving is a relatively data-free zone. We know little about who is involved, what do they do, what is the impact, what is the actual lived reality of day-to-day family caregiving. So the nonprofit I lead, called Atlas of Caregiving, is working to shed some light, to lead us to a world where family caregivers are supported and valued as fundamental to a healthy society. And I'm leveraging my quantified self roots to develop innovative ways to look deeply into our lives. And last year, in an RWJ-funded pilot, we tested this approach with 14 diverse families. We're working hard to make the invisible visible. And as part of that, we're developing all sorts of new diagrams to show caregiving. This is a day of Gaston's activities. Blue is caregiving, orange is self-care, and so forth. In his case, barely an hour goes by, day and night, without a care activity. To create a care map, we ask, who all do you care for? Who else cares for them? And who cares for you? And the diagram also shows relationships, levels of care, and distance. We're learning with our participants. We show them how to look, and they learn a lot about themselves. So our approach ends up benefiting both the individuals and the public. My colleague Dawn Nafis of Intel refers to this as N of many ones research. To help people create their own care maps, we developed a technique using plain old pencil and paper. And many organizations have asked us to come and teach workshops on drawing and using care maps so they can develop their own insights. In Santa Barbara, such workshops led local social workers to simply adopt the care map tool into their work. And it led local institutions to view their communities in a new light and to revisit how they support families. The Santa Barbara experience also taught us how to include community institutions in our work and the benefits of doing so. Namely, that helping communities see their own needs leads to deeper empathy, more experimentation, and faster change. So the work that we're doing, we call it community-based action research. And over the next 2 years, we're going to be working very closely with 2 to 3 communities before expanding nationally. And our work is developing what we call practical tools like the care map. We're developing a digital version of the care map tool, making it easier for systems to adopt. And over the next 2 years, working with partners, we're hoping to reach thousands of families. Now, addressing a major but overlooked social issue raises unique problems because by definition, most philanthropists, most foundations aren't looking at it. The few that are demand solutions now, hoping that somebody else has done the research, the seeing. Recently, the National Academies published a 300-page report on caregiving, which very unhelpfully described in great detail the little that is known while glossing over the vast terrain of the unknown. Where a moonshot is required, they recommend a little bit more of the same. Fortunately, all is not grim. The people at the Santa Barbara Foundation are going out on a limb to raise funding to support this effort. And AARP has already committed funding and direct support to help us reach the communities, and they're bringing more people in. So in closing, I want to urge all of us to fight for sight, to support exploration and self-discovery, to resist the allure of act now, think later, to achieve a culture of health first we have to see. Thank you.